Okay, now that you've got the API keys, the cloud name, the API key, and the API secret, let's go back to our application and we'll go ahead and configure these. So inside the Solution Explorer, inside the API folder, we're going to go to our app settings, and this time we're going to do this in the app settings.json. This is grayed out because it's not being saved into my public GitHub repository. And inside here, then this is a safe place for me to put an API key that I want to keep secret and not display to anyone else or not let anyone else get access to. And inside here, we're going to set up our cloudinary configuration. So we're going to use or add another key, and I'm going to call it cloudinary settings. I'm just putting it below the token key, and we'll add a comma there. So the token key is quite long, but as long as there's a comma under there, then you can add something under that one. So inside our cloudinary settings, we are going to have an API, or let's start with the cloud name, and that's going to be a thing, a string, and we'll have our API key, that's also going to be a string, and we're going to have our API secret, again, that's going to be a string, and I'm just going to populate these values. So we need the cloud name, and that's your cloud name, not the one I'm pasting in here. And we need the API key, and we'll also need the API secret. And this one I'll blur out. So we're going to take a look at using this in a slightly different way, which gives us some type safety, but only if we've got the details in here accurate, because of course you're not going to get any type safety with a string like your cloud name. But this is one of the areas where students seem to run into the most amount of problems when connecting to Cloudinary due to mistakes using this configuration. So we're going to take a look at a way to make this type safe. So I'm going to close this down so I can stop blurring out the secret key. And inside our API folder, inside the helpers, let's create a new file. And we're going to create a class, and we're going to call it cloudinary settings. And what we're going to look at here really is a way of using our configuration from our app settings as an example, and being able to access those configuration settings using a C# class as we're using here. And we're going to say public or prop a string, and we're going to have the cloud name. We'll have a prop of a string, and we're going to have the API key, and we'll have the prop of a string, and we're going to have the API secret. These need to match what you have inside your configuration. So there are still opportunities to make mistakes inside here. So cloud name is going to be case sensitive, so please do make sure you have the correct casing for this. And we're going to make each of these required as well. So we're going to say required, and we'll do the same for the API secret. So we're going to use this inside our application service extensions. We need to go there to configure this. And we're going to add another service. And I'm going to say services, configuration this time, or configure. And then we specify our cloudinary settings inside here. And then we need to specify where to get these configuration settings from. So we're going to say config and get section. And we need to specify cloudinary settings. And of course, once again, this is your opportunity to make typos so that this doesn't work. So please ensure this is accurate, because once again, we get no type safety when we're using strings, and I can make a complete mess of this and get no type safety or compiler support to tell me I've done something wrong. So do be careful. And now we have our configuration set up. We'll next take a look at creating a service so that we can add and delete files from Cloudinary.